In this video, you're going to learn 4 tips that you can use to ace your next tryout. Hey there, I'm Eli Straw, mental performance coach and the founder of SuccessStartsWithin.com. Before I get into the video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you're an athlete looking to improve your mental game. I put out new videos each day on sports psychology and mental training. Tryouts are one of the most amazing and also frustrating and nerve-wrenching things athletes have to deal with. But no matter what sport you play, if you want to keep going higher in levels, it's very likely that you're going to have to face a tryout, right? You're going to have to go try out. You're going to have to put yourself in front of scouts, put yourself in front of new teams, new teammates, and it can be a very anxiety-ridden experience. So it's important that you have a good mental strategy to make sure that you're going into this tryout with a strong mindset so that you can allow your physical skills that you've worked so hard for to shine, right? So tip number 1 is you want to embrace your nerves. You are going to be nervous. There's no denying that. You're going to be nervous because you're in a new experience and also because you want to make the team, or at least I imagine you want to make the team if you're trying out for the team. And whenever you're dealing with nerves, it's the same thing as if you're dealing with nerves before a game. When you focus too much on the nerves, you actually make the nerves worse because you're giving so much attention to these nerves. A lot of the athletes I work with, when we're trying to overcome performance anxiety, the first thing that I have to get them to do is accept their pre-performance nerves, accept that performance anxiety. Because if you try to resist it, it's just going to stick around. So before the tryout, you just want to say, okay, it's okay that I'm going to be nervous. I know that I'm going to be nervous, so you can kind of expect that you're going to be nervous, and then just accept the nerves. Let them go, say, I can perform with nerves, because now it's time to actually turn your attention onto something else. And whenever you're feeling nervous or whenever you're dealing with anxiety, to actually cure that, you have to change your attention. That's why we really want to accept it. Because if you are focusing on how much you don't want to be nervous, you're making the nerves worse. But if you accept the nerves, then you put yourself in a position to focus on something else. And that something else, in terms of a tryout, needs to be yourself. Specifically your skills and focusing on what you need to do to perform your best. During a tryout, you are competing against everybody else there. That's the nature of a tryout. But the worst thing you can do is to start focusing on everybody else, because that's going to lower your confidence, and that's going to also increase your performance anxiety. Because let's say you identify and you start to focus on this one person who you think is really good. Well, now all of a sudden you're not focused on yourself and playing as well as you can play today. You're focused on another person. And if you think they're very good, you might start thinking, I don't know if I can make the team. And if you're thinking, I don't know if I can make the team during a tryout, that's one of the worst places you can be in, because now you're not going to be performing as confidently. You might start to feel a little bit timid. So you want to focus on yourself. The best way that you can actually focus on yourself going into a tryout and during a tryout is by setting yourself objectives. These are going to be your performance objectives. And I use performance objectives a lot with athletes during games because it's a way for them to control their attention and put themselves in the best position to play their best. So for you going into a tryout, you want to set objectives that are going to allow you to perform your best. Your objectives can be on the physical side, and they can also be on the mental side. But you want to make sure that your objectives are just part of the process. Don't make them based on the outcome, just make them part of the process. So say, this is what I'm going to focus on, and I know that this is going to put me in the best position to perform my best. And then what you want to do actively during the tryout is whenever you find yourself thinking and focusing about the other people, which you will, it's going to be very natural, you just simply remind yourself of your objectives. And if you have a clear target, it's going to be a lot easier to keep your attention focused on yourself. Tip number 3 is don't hide. Admittedly, this is something that I used to do when I was in high school and I would go to showcases. I would feel intimidated and I didn't want to embarrass myself, so I kind of felt like I was hiding amongst the crowd. But when you go to these tryouts or you go to showcases and there are all these different people there, you kind of become just a number. And that's okay, it's natural because everybody's just a number at that point. Maybe the scouts or the coaches know a few different people, but they're not going to know everybody, and so it's very likely that they're not going to know you. So what you have to do if you really want to make the team, and I know this can be very uncomfortable, is you have to put yourself out there. So if they ask, hey, I want to volunteer to show this drill, volunteer for that drill. If they tell you guys to line up, go to the front of the line. Be the first person to perform the drill. Don't try to hide timidly and stay in the back because that's not going to do yourself any good. You might save yourself from embarrassment, but you're not there to save yourself from embarrassment. You're there to succeed and you're there to make the team. So you need to put yourself out there. If you're there It's time to be confident in your skills. It's time to show what you can do. It's time to show the skills you've worked hard for. So you don't want to hide, you don't want to turtle, you don't want to stay in the back of the line, you want to get out there, you want to show the scouts what you can do. And if you're good enough, you're going to make the team. If not, well, then you know what else you need to work on. And tip number 4 is to enjoy it. Tryouts aren't always the most fun environment because they are a very anxiety-ridden environment. There's a lot of people there. You're kind of herded around. You might not feel like the coaches are paying much attention to you. That you might feel like you're just a number to them. But you're there and you're performing your sport. And you're probably performing your sport with some high-level competition. Just enjoy it. And the more that you enjoy it, what that's also going to seem to the scouts and to the coaches is that you play with this level of joy. And coaches love a player who performs with joy because they're going to be a source of positivity for the team. They know that they're going to be somebody who is going to have a good attitude during practices and during performances. So when you enjoy it, you're going to perform better during that tryout. But also, if you enjoy yourself, it's going to appear to the coaches and to the scouts like you're enjoying yourself. Scouts and coaches during tryouts, they pay attention to an athlete's character. They pay attention to the way an athlete carries themselves. And when you're enjoying yourself out there, you carry yourself differently. You carry yourself with more confidence. You radiate more positivity. And a coach is going to notice that. And a coach is going to see that you're probably somebody that they want to add to your team. Whenever you're really nervous, as weird as this sounds, a lot of times to other people, it can seem like you're a little standoffish. It might seem like you're not the kind of person who's going to fit with their team. In reality, on the inside, you're just terrified. But you have to think, how am I being perceived by these scouts and these coaches? Because the scouts and the coaches, they're judging you. It's a tryout, right? They're judging everything you do. They're judging the way that you play. They're judging the way that you hold yourself. They're judging the way that you talk, the way that you act. So you have to make sure that you are presenting yourself in the best way. And one of the easiest ways to be sure that you're presenting yourself in a good way is by just enjoying your performance. Because when you enjoy your performance, coaches are going to be able to tell, and then like I said, you're also going to play better, and that's really what you're after. So those are the 4 tips that you can use whenever you have a tryout. If you've used any other strategies or tips to perform better in a tryout in the past, please leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear your experience. Thank you for watching, and I wish you the best of success in all that you do. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. We put out new videos each week on sports psychology and mental training. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you're interested in learning more about one-on-one mental performance coaching, head over to successstartswithin.com.